Hello my crypto people and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. Today, focusing on Ripple and XRP as I have something juicy for all of you that are in the XRP community or who just like to update themselves on their cryptos. Yeah, so we got a very good update on everything that is going on or going to happen in the Ripple v SEC lawsuit from here on forward. This is posted by an attorney, so you can already guarantee for yourself that it is very, very high quality. And I definitely think this is going to be amazing to cover. You guys will have some great value out of this. So make sure you press that like button for it helps the channel grow. And also guys, if you want to be notified every single time something like this comes out, make sure you press the subscribe button. All right, SEC v Ripple upcoming due dates. We are awaiting several discovery-related decisions that hopefully will be issued soon. Also, the recent decisions denying the SEC's motion to strike, Ripple's lack of due process and fair notice affirmative defense, and also the individual defendant's motion to dismiss the SEC's first amended complaint have triggered other actions and deadlines. So the first thing we got to cover, and by far the most pending, or I would say the most important thing in the near future, is this right here, the deliberative process privilege fight. If you don't know what this is about, long story short, Ripple has actually yet to receive the majority of information from the SEC. As it currently stands, Ripple is kind of fighting the dark because, well, we don't really know what the SEC thought, what they had, what they were discussing or anything like that. And it's all because they claim that any document they have should be privileged, should not be usable in court. Now, after it finally looked as if Ripple would have won something, as if they would have finally gotten some documents, the SEC actually said, wait a minute, we have here a whole bunch of documents that we want to add because we want to tell you, again, judge, that Ripple really shouldn't have access to any of our stuff. So please reconsider. And that's specifically the first one. Motion for partial reconsideration of Magistrate Judge Netburn's deliberative process privilege opinion and order. This has been fully briefed and a decision is expected soon. And this basically means all documents from the parties have been sent. We know everything that they were going to do. All we have to wait for is the judge to make a decision. If the SEC is ordered to produce documents, they may very well file objections to Magistrate Judge Netburn's decision with District Judge Torres, the other judge. The deadline for that is no later than 14 days after Magistrate Judge Netburn's decision. Then Ripple has 14 days to respond to any objections, and that's another entire freaking month, or about 4 weeks, before District Judge Torres even has to start thinking about it, which puts us well into April. And there's a, I would say, pretty good probability that that happens, but, and here's the bullish caveat or nice caveat, we've seen a lot of nice decisions from Judge Netburn, right? It's been good. But Judge Torres is what everybody's excited about. And as far as I understand it now, Judge Netburn is deciding it as it currently stands, but it could be that Judge Torres is going to take over and actually deciding it then further. And as some people have told me, this motion for reconsideration is actually really nice because it's going to be a lot harder for the SEC to overthrow decisions that the judge makes in the future. The more you reconsider your basis, the harder it's going to be to appeal for any change later. Let's say, for example, that the SEC reconsidered every single decision. Well, then the final verdict you can't really appeal for because where exactly is a reconsideration going to be made if you've actually already double-checked everything? I mean, you can ask for a second opinion, fine, but you can't ask for a second opinion on the same second opinion after you've already kind of gone for it, you know? I guess theoretically speaking, you get a second opinion on a second opinion, third opinion. But if you've double-checked every decision because you really didn't trust the process, then there's a very small chance that the entire process then needs to be done again because, well, we double-checked at every single checkpoint. Now, then there's the motion to compel turnover of the Estabrook notes. For those of you that don't know, Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse and, out of memory, Elliot Roisman, don't quote me on this one because I'm a little bit rusty. I'm a little bit rusty on that one. I don't know for sure. I was thinking, I'm like, Estabrook is the lawyer from the specific individual that Brad Garlinghouse spoke with, and the motion to compel the turnover is actually a broader one. So the reason we are really excited about this and want this, and why you as an XP holder would want to see this, is because Brad Garlinghouse had a discussion with this specific SEC member. Now, Bragg-House explains that the SEC member never was negative or like cautionary, whatever, about XRP. So if the lawyer, Estabrook here, was actually writing things down about it, thinking, no, this sounds like a security to me, then the chance would be about 99 out of 100 that they, the SEC, would have been at the judge's door saying, here you go. Here's the documents. Please read them, because this lawyer thought a couple years ago that it was a security already. So the fact that they're trying to hide that and trying to say, we don't want to give them over, is a little bit suspicious to us. But that is also a very bullish thing because, well, most likely they didn't have anything good in there, meaning they had something kind of negative for them, for their own attack. So the motion to compel turnover, this has also been fully briefed, and we are awaiting a decision from Magistrate Judge Ned Byrne. As this is part of the whole DPP fight, don't be surprised if the decision is released at the same time the decision on the motion for partial reconsideration is released, in the same sense as we had the deliberative process privilege and lack of fairness defense today. In the same sense that we had the motion to dismiss and the motion to strike in one time. That way, any objection to the Estabrook Notes decisions will be on the same, there we go, page number 2. Ripple and the individual defendants no later than April 11th, 2022. And we will not see those responses at that time because they will be provided directly to Ripple and the individual defendants. We may learn more about those responses at summary judgment stage. All right, then second, now that the individual defendants' motion to dismiss have been denied, the individual defendants, which are Bragg-House and Chris Larson, must file an answer to the first amended complaint, and then the SEC and the individual defendants agreed in the initial case management plan back in February of last year to a limited additional discovery period of 4 months. Okay. From the date of the decision of the motion to dismiss. So some probably limited fact and expert discovery on selected issues could occur during that 120-day period regarding the individual defendants. That limited additional discovery period ends on July 8th of 2022. But there's a caveat, which is, at least as far as I know, that this is only going to be for Bragg-House and Chris Larson. And I actually believe that not necessarily a decision, I mean, you can always have a decision, but I would say that this actually stands alone. It doesn't mean that this is like the Ripple lawsuit has been extended now. This is about the 2 individual defendants who have been sued as well, right? It's not, you have basically a little triad. You have SEC v. Ripple, SEC v. Bragg-House, and SEC v. Chris Larson. So the SEC v. Ripple is in a certain stage, and SEC v. Bragg-House and Chris Larson is in a different stage, and Ripple's a lot further in the whole process. Now, the discovery and whatnot is going to be for Brad and Chris, not for Ripple. Finally, the deadline for the parties to exchange their respective statements of material facts pursuant to Local Civil Rule 56.1 and their pre-motion letters regarding motions for summary judgment was adjourned without any specific date in the future, but that was only up until the point that we had the decisions on the ones we just got, motion to dismiss, motion to strike. And now that these motions have been decided, that deadline can be scheduled, although it hasn't been yet. So if you're wondering what's the next big thing, we right now have to wait for the judge to either reply to the 2 decisions which I described just now, or, as far as I'm concerned, this is the most important one, the judge to basically say, hey, this is the deadline for motion for summary judgment, get it done. And that's literally the next most important step in the entire lawsuit. Now, what this all means is that we still have some ways to go here, but progress, albeit slowly, is still being made, and the decisions on the motion to strike and dismiss were important milestones. So long story short, things are looking good, but there's nothing really crazy on the pipeline that's going to change everything, depending on how you view it. I mean, the SEC's DPP, the deliberative process privilege, that stuff seems like a really big chore to me. And I personally think, what I mean with being a chore is like, I don't really understand why they're doing that. It's just to kind of be silly, because I don't really see a chance where Ripple does not get insights into whether or not the SEC actually talked about XRP, what they said about XRP, or how they classified Bitcoin or ETH. It's like one of the most logical principles of fighting some battle, that you at least have some idea of what the other side thought about you, specifically if they're claiming that Ripple's side should have known, when in reality, if they didn't know, well, this is only one of the ways we can find out whether or not they did. So in regards to the price, because, well, we had a pretty interesting pump yesterday, I would say the XP price is still in a pretty good position, since, again, my selling point would have been 0.7777. I told you guys about that. My second selling point would have been this right here, 80 cents. My third selling point would have been this right here, 82 cents. We basically crossed all that last night. We touched every single point that I could have dreamed of. My little boy tingles went off like all night. Unfortunately, I was sleeping, and it's our, I guess our stream Bybit account, so it matters a little bit less to me. But remember, guys, half of the profits that we make from this trade are going to go back to you guys in the form of a giveaway, and you guys can vote on where we sell this. So soon I'll be doing a couple more live streams and you guys can decide. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you press that like button, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.